Hey guys, tonight's topics: the Hurricane Relief Fund recipients, and the U.S. takes silver in the Black Bass World Championships. All right, thanks for the thumbs up, Jeff.
I was waiting for the head nod. We're going to start making this part of the show, like seeing different ways to get Matt's attention to start the show.
That pretty much does it.
He'll be over there in that corner.
Yeah, we need to be a little more inconspicuous and see if he'll catch on.
Must be pick on Matt week again this week. So all right, so always pick on Matt week. First topic tonight, guys. We started a hurricane relief fund. It was back about when Harvey hit.
Right
after Harvey.
Right after Harvey hit, and of course, there's been several hurricanes since then. A lot of natural disasters. The California fires, which are actually Tex County fire today, and he said they're
right on Clear Lake, I think.
Yeah, they're getting fairly close to his house. I know.
Oh, really?
11 people have lost their lives, and our thoughts and prayers go out to them. I think over 100,000 acres is actually burned. Hopefully they'll get that under control. The relief fund that we raised money for was directed for Hurricane Harvey relief, and Jeff had a great idea. We ended up raising obviously not our entire goal, but it was I think it was a couple $1,000,
like $1,800,
close to $2,000. Yep. And I'm gonna let Jeff tell you what we did with that money, guys. Thanks so much for your donations.
Yeah, first off, thanks everybody that donated and send money in, because it's definitely going to a good cause. You're fixing to see the video, and it's pretty awesome to be able to help somebody like that that's been through a tragedy. I mean, I couldn't imagine losing everything you have like that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did is, our goal was obviously to raise a lot more than we did, but we raised $1,800, which is better than nothing.
Right. I mean, every little bit helps. I mean,
absolutely. So I wanted to put it directly in the hands of a family that needed it. So I called a good buddy of mine, Chris Ray. We grew up together down in South Carolina. He lives in Dickinson, Texas. And we chatted up, called up on old times, and I asked him if he would be kind enough to find us somebody who actually could use it and needs it. And he did that, and he found Jason and Mary Becker right there from his community. And they lost everything, totally flooded house. And I believe to rebuild it, I think they had some code issues because it's an older house, and they wouldn't let them rebuild it until they fixed certain things. And obviously, I don't think they had flood insurance. A lot of the people down there,
I know a lot of people
didn't.
Yeah.
So it was, it's a bad deal. So we were glad to help them out and glad we could find that family. So it was really cool to do. So I talked to Jason beforehand and told him we'd like to help him. They were very appreciative.
Oh yeah.
So and he sent me a little video back, so I wanted to kind of share that with everybody.
Yeah, let's play the video
so we can kind of see who we helped.
Hi, my name is Jason. This is my wife Mary. This is Gabby. We are the Becker family. We were affected by Hurricane Harvey. As you can tell, our house is wiped out. We would like to thank the Southern Redfish Cup and the Let's Talk Fish for their generous donation. The money will go to repairing our house. This is our little rescue pup that rescued us that night. When the water came up, he was barking and let us know that the water was coming in. That day we spent the majority of the day, my wife and child were on the roof being rescued until we had a boat come in. We had about almost 3 feet of water come in, and we didn't know how much it was going to get higher. So we do really appreciate the donation, and it will go to repairing our house. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So guys, as you can see, they really need the help, and I'm glad we could come together. We appreciate all the folks from the Southern Redfish Cup side, all the folks from the Let's Talk Fish side that came together and donated to the You Caring link we sent out. We appreciate it. I'm glad we could help, and hopefully we don't have to do it again anytime soon.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully everybody's in the clear for a while.
Absolutely. So thanks again, guys, and I'm going to turn it back over to Matt. I'm going to switch the camera.
All right.
You give me a thumbs up?
You have to go ahead.
Yeah, thanks again for all the donations. You know, at first, I think Jeff's idea, and this was his brainchild, was to raise a ton of money in order to buy a bunch of goods, whether it was bottled water, paper towels, toilet paper, and just have it shipped down there, take it down there in 18-wheelers. But since it was a smaller amount, I think what we decided to do with it, what Jeff decided to do with it, was had a lot more positive impact for that individual family on rebuilding their home. Because like Jeff said, those people, I mean, I can't imagine losing everything you own and then having to rebuild it from scratch.
You're looking at totally replacing all the sheetrock. I mean, it's
it was good. Their house was good.
Yeah, I mean, y'all saw the video, and they had nothing left. I mean, it was destroyed. And that was his wife and daughter up on the roof.
And a rescue dog that actually helped him out during the flood and barked at him when the water was rising.
Started barking when the water was getting high in there. So, guys,
working together.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks again for that. And next topic right now, we're going to discuss if any of you guys were following it, the U.S. Had to send a team down to South Africa to compete in. I don't know if it was the first annual.
I don't know either.
They used to have this stuff back in the day.
Yeah, I'm thinking they've done several of them.
It's a different type deal. They're actually trying to make it an Olympic sport. I know that they have some different things that they have to go through to have it recognized an Olympic sport. But in the meantime, the U.S. sent a team down there. Some close friends of ours, Scott Martin, Scott Canterbury, my Quaker State teammate. James Watson went down there. Worldwide. James Watson, the James Watson. And just for you guys to know, we're going to have James Watson on the episode coming up pretty soon. We're going to get him on here live, and James is very entertaining.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun show.
He's a good friend of Brian and myself, and a good guy all around, and it's going to be a blast. But they took the silver medal. The team that took the gold was the host nation, host country, South Africa.
Yeah, and if you're looking for the coverage of it, I know FLW did a lot of coverage on it. That's right. So if you want to check out, kind of how things went down and where everybody placed, you can go to flwoutdoors.com and see all the photos and whatnot. So it's pretty neat to follow along and see like how countries were competing against each other. So
there was even, I told Brian the other week, I can't remember what it was on. There was even a little bit of trash talking going on after the first day. I think the first day the U.S. was in 6th place.
I don't know. I didn't see the trash talk.
They were in 6th place, and I won't tell you which country it was, but the longer the tournament went on, the further down that country went, the further up the U.S. went. So they we did our trash talking, I guess, in their fishing ability, which is always better to show it on the court than off the court, in my opinion. So, but congrats to the U.S. team for taking the silver medal.
Yeah, that's an awesome job, guys. Everybody's watching.
Dudley was down there too. So.
Yeah, Dudley was on the team.
And Mark Rose,
Lionel Botha, Fred.
That's right. And it was a really confusing. I can't even explain it, but we'll get James to explain all that.
Yeah,
on the show.
The penalty points or something. I have no idea how they determined where you ended up.
Yeah, it was interesting. I looked online, and the scores were like first place 78 penalty points, second place 98 penalty points. So it was really confusing for me. But we'll figure all that out. That's a good topic to attack James with.
And it was in kilograms, so they were catching
that's right, yeah,
like a fish that weighed 0.78 kilograms. I'm thinking it's a little tiny one, but that's actually a pretty good size.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. So
I'm glad we don't do that.
Yeah, that's kilograms would be quite confusing for me. I don't even know how to make inches to centimeters, much less kilograms to pounds. So
no, you got me on that.
Yeah,
if you know kilograms and milligrams and all that stuff, and
you're a drug dealer.
Probably a drug dealer.
Yes, definitely a drug
dealer. All right, so congrats again to the U.S. team. Can't wait to have James on the show with us. We might even get him rambling about. I don't know if y'all got to catch his video on his Facebook page when he got to talk.
He rambles about everything.
Well, he rambles about everything, but he got in a pretty heated live deal with about FLW and bass. We might even get into that a little bit. Who knows? So
yeah,
that'll be fun to get him on the show.
All I know with James Watson, if you're fishing with him, You don't ding the dock.
Don't ding the dock.
Don't ding the dock.
If you ding the dock, he's going to be mad.
He's
and
gonna be
James is
mad.
not somebody. He's used to be a drill sergeant. James used to be a drill sergeant, so he's not somebody you want to make mad.
No.
Okay, so this isn't really a topic. We had some confusion. We listed our shirts and hats, all our Let's Talk Fish gear that was available through our Facebook page. We had some comments on there that people couldn't, the link wasn't working. So we've revamped that a little bit. Jess revamped it. We actually have a website that you'll go directly to now. It's ltfgear.com. We'll be posting that in the coming days, but it's ltfgear.com. The shop is up and running. We've got shirts and hats and things like that available. Actually, shirts like the one I'm wearing here. A lot of different color hats, different cool hats. And we'll be adding to that throughout the coming months.
Work in progress. It went live about
if y'all
2
got
hours
some
ago.
suggestions of some apparel shirts that, not particularly designs, but colors or styles you'd like to see, give us a shout out, and that's what we're doing it for. We want to put a product out there that people want to wear and that looks good. So help us out.
Absolutely.
Greatest talk show ever. Thanks, Michael. We appreciate that.
Tyler Hoopall said
Gotta
it's
like that
2.2 pounds for every kilogram.
Oh, so we got a mathematician on board here.
Yes.
Tyler, appreciate that.
Genius.
2.2 pounds for every kilogram. So a 1 kilogram bass is a pretty dang nice one.
Decent fish.
Yeah.
That wins.
Or Norman, that's a kicker.
Yes.
This time of year. All right, so let's go straight into some pre-show questions. We're actually pulling a couple questions for the past couple weeks. I still got a big old giant stack here. We haven't answered them all. But we're getting to them, guys. If you got any pre-show questions, be sure to send them in through our website. There's a direct link there where you can submit pre-show questions to be answered live. Let's see. Let's start off with Gary Tucker. Gary said this question could be answered by each of you. How, when you're setting in the boat, in the water, or even if you're on the bank and you walk up to the water, what's your opinion on how? Let's see. Okay, let me rephrase this.
I'm already confused.
After you look at the water, how do you decide what I can't even talk tonight. What color lure you will be trying first? So as soon as you see the watercolor. Brian's rolling his eyes. He's laughing at me because of the way I'm talking. But all right, just answer the question.
What's he saying, Jeff?
I have no idea.
Does anybody know what Matt's talking about?
You lost me at 2.2 kilograms.
It's 2.2 pounds for every kilogram.
All right, so determining the color of bait based on water clarity.
The first time you see the water clarity, whether it's chocolate milk or crystal clear, what's your go-to colors based on the water?
Does anybody remember the old color selector?
I remember that thing.
You still got one?
I never bought one. Did you buy one?
No.
You probably bought one.
That was before my time.
You probably bought that. What's the one you see on the infomercials? The Bite Me. It's got the little bite mark in the side and blood coming out of it.
The Mighty Bite.
The Mighty Bite.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I did buy a flying lure.
I did too. The flying lure was good. That was
It worked.
That was legit.
It worked.
All right. My rule of thumb is if I can see 2.5 feet or more, I'm throwing some kind of natural shade, like a brown, green, something like that. And if it's less than 2.5 feet of visibility, I'll tend to go more toward black and blues and black and reds and things like that. Watermelon candy, even something along those lines. Something with a little more flake or a little darker color in dirtier water. Even white baits. I'll tend to throw like a more translucent color hard bait in clear water, and then if I've got 2.5 feet of visibility or less, I'll go to a whiter bait, more solid color bait. So that's generally my rule of thumb. 2.5 feet, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and that's a good mark to kind of go to let you sway your decision.
And I also let that determine how deep I'm going to fish. If I can't see more than 2.5 feet deep, I'm probably not going to fish any deeper than 15 to 18 feet, something like that.
Yeah, and in real dirty water, and the reason we go to darker colors is it's like fishing. People always ask me about night fishing. Why do you use black and dark colors, solid colors at night? Because fish silhouette it better.
Yeah, they can silhouette it.
Yeah, you don't want to use your watermelon seeds, your translucent stuff at night. They're not saying exactly what color that worm or jig or whatever is in that super dirty water, but they're able to make out the profile based on the density of the color. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Density? I don't think color has a density. Is color
Parents see
4D?
the color?
It must be 5D.
5D. Jeff's looking at me like I'm an idiot. Just listen to what Brian said.
Based on how opaque the bait is.
There we
Opaque.
go. Not
See, I didn't know
density.
what that means.
You're talking about the sinker tied to the worm, I think.
Nailed it. Sydney Riddle says, "What's up? What's up, Sydney?"
I got to give a shout out to Bobby Hull. He called me out drinking my Sundrop. I think he works for Sundrop. He's the top delivery man, I believe.
Jason Hammer, thanks for joining, buddy. I was talking to Jason the other day. I saw him at lunch, and he said, "Let Andy Montgomery model your shirts." That will never happen.
No.
I promise.
No.
We actually want to sell some shirts, you know.
Yeah.
So, Brian got a funny story from Andy the other day. I don't know if that's proper to bring up right now.
No, we better not talk about this.
What's wrong? I done let the cat.
It pertained to deer hunting.
I done let,
so we can't talk about it.
I've
We've already
let the cat out
said
of the bag.
we already said we're not talking about deer hunting and
But some guys,
What?
some of these
What
people
was the
won't
other
talk
thing?
about
Even if I
deer.
cried when I heard it.
eclipses. That's what eclipses and deer hunting.
Guys,
those
it
are
got
banned.
bad the
And
other
that's
day.
and that's crying
I'm gonna
from
tell it. I'm gonna tell
that's
it.
crying from laughter.
Andy's not here to defend himself, so I'm gonna tell it.
You gonna tell it?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell it. Andy,
I think you should read the text. Read the text.
let me just.
That's
let me
It's
just read the
pretty.
text,
It's
guys.
pretty good.
All right, y'all be sure to share our show because maybe
pretty
we get
good.
luck. Andy hadn't commented. I don't know if he's watching,
He's
but
probably not.
Somebody tag Andy.
Let everybody tag Andy right now, and let me find his text. Give me just 1 second here. Let me find it. Was it a group text between us?
Yes, it was a group
It was a
text
group
between
text
the three of
Brian
us.
and you. So
It's on.
I'm bass fishing, and these two are deer hunting, and we'll go with that. Like I'm doing something beneficial, they're wasting time. So,
I don't know if I can make it through this text without.
but you
laughing.
did kill a good one that morning.
I did. So if y'all follow my Facebook page, I posted on my Facebook and Instagram
Emily
page.
says, "Children, plug your ears."
No,
It's
it's
not
not
that bad.
bad.
It's not that bad, guys. This is a really funny story. I killed a nice deer that morning. One that I named Pitiful. He was an older deer that had a.
Why do you name your deer? Let's get to that. Does anybody else name their deer?
Yes, everybody that deer hunts names their deer.
I've
Everybody
never,
serious.
I've never heard anybody name
That's
deer
because
but you.
you don't see them until you walk out of your porch with your rifle for 1 week out of the year.
Exactly.
You don't have a chance to hunt them. I've been hunting this deer for 2 years. So
How do you know it's the same one?
Because I got 500 trail cam pictures of him.
He changes every year. His horn's not the same.
All right, this is a lost cause argument.
This
Brian.
is a lost cause because there's no
Back-
there's no
He's
scientific
got a little tag
evidence
on.
it's the same one.
Mine have name tags
He's got
on.
a
They
little
wear
tag.
them
You need to
around
get
their
some
neck.
tracer rounds and shoot him with a little glow dart, and then you can recognize it. Tag it.
All right, so I killed this deer, this 8-pointer, and I sent Brian and Andy a picture of it. Brian's out fishing.
Of course.
Brian says, "Nice one." I finally get a response from Andy like an hour later, and it says, "You had a better morning than me." He said, "Excuse my French." He said, "I've had a hell of a morning." He said, "Got up." Then this is his exact text. He
Word
said,
for word, verbatim.
Got up in the tree, and right at the crack of daylight, my stomach started hurting. I sat there a little longer and thought, "Man, don't push it." I didn't make it down the ladder. It was bad. Drove home butt naked, sitting on an old corn sack in my truck. My wife brought me a towel so I could get in the house. Got in the tree.
I just
Dang,
got over
what
a
a
headache, and now I'm getting another one.
All right, word for word, I promise I couldn't make that up. So next time y'all see Andy, never mind. I don't know if y'all should bring that up.
Yeah,
or not.
bring it up. Might as well. I mean, he's drinking pee.
Only about
It's bad.
10,000 people are going to see the story, so bring it up.
That's right.
I want to know what is so special about deer hunting that you sit there till you mess yourself.
Well, he wasn't there long, apparently.
I mean, well, anyway, I mean, no matter how long you've been there, what would possess you to sit there till you mess your britches? Why not go ahead? I mean,
that's classic Andy too. Like that's
deer like corn. I mean, I don't understand that.
all right. Back to the pre-show questions. This one's from Craig Schultz. Craig, when and how do you like to fish swim baits? Well, I'll start off by saying I fish them 12 months out of the year. I mean, really, I fish them 12 months out of the year. And how is a very complex question with a very complex answer.
Yeah.
In the spring, I fish a lot of unweighted swim baits or lightly weighted swim baits, high up in the water column and 4 foot of water or less. In the summer, Brian and I throw a lot of swim baits.
Fish a lot out deeper.
Yeah, over brush, on ledges. When we go to Tennessee River, we're fishing them on the bottom sometimes, or within a foot or two of the bottom in 20, 25 foot with an ounce and a half swim bait head. Here we throw a lot of little paddle tail swim baits with quarter-ounce heads when we're fishing 10 to 20 foot, over top brush, catching spotted bass, things like that. So a lot of different ways to fish them. A lot of different swim baits out there. You can be overwhelmed when you look at the swim baits now.
Yeah, you really can. I'm going to help you narrow it down. I mean, really, I've wasted a lot of money on swim baits over the last 5 or 6 years.
Especially the hard baits that are so
expensive. The hard baits that are so expensive. And I don't like 90% of them.
That's the truth.
Some of my favorites, like springtime fishing, like the shallow type fishing Matt was talking about, 4 feet or less. I'm going with a trash fish, little creepers trash fish. That's hands down, that's my favorite. And then when you get into fishing deep, like clear spotted bass lakes, I'm throwing a Demiki anchovy shad. There's actually a video from when I won the Invitational at Norman last year. You can see me and Kyle catching some on the anchovy shad out there at Norman, and it's a good clear water swim bait that I like for suspended spotted bass type fishing. But now when you're talking about Kentucky Lake ledge type fishing, I'm going to throw the biggest bait I can get my hands on out on those ledges. I mean, like a big 7.5-inch big hammer swim bait, something like that, something with a big profile on an ounce head, ounce and a half head, and let it just crawl it on the bottom. That's probably my 3 go-tos.
Yeah, and like Brian said, there's a don't get too carried away. You could go out there and drop $1,000 on swim baits in a heartbeat.
Yes,
and
I've done that.
Some of the big hard baits, in my opinion, I mean, Brian and I both have caught some fish on some glide baits and things like that. But those baits, 9 times out of 10, will hurt your feelings more than they'll actually help your feelings.
Yes.
You will get a lot of fish.
They're fun.
Those baits. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And if you're just fishing for fun, or you're some of those big bass crazy guys out west that all they do is fish for 1 or 2 bites a day.
That's different. Those fish out west bite those things.
They do, but I mean, you'd be surprised. Those guys go 3 or 4 days without a bite, then they catch 2 10-pounders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's all about the mood of the fish.
Yeah.
But when you're throwing that small, more realistic stuff like Brian's talking about, you're apt to get a lot more bites, and
and you still catch a lot of big fish. I mean, on the 3.5 to 4.5 inch swim baits. I mean, you still catch a lot of 4 to 6 pounders on.
Yep, and I like that trash fish. I like another bait. Actually, we're getting ready to launch one with Lunker Hunt. It should be hitting the shelves. It'll be at Dick's. It'll be at Walmart. I don't know which Walmarts yet, but all the Dick's stores will be carrying it. It's called the Lunker Hunt Fetch. It'll be hitting the shelves. It's a great spawn time swim bait. It's made to fish weedless and weightless. Rides real high in the water column. You can skip it really good. You can fish it on laydowns. And I promise you it'll catch some big ones.
Yeah, that's actually the bait you won beaver on one time, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was a hand pour from a different company. We've actually taken it. I think we've made it better. We actually cut the profile down a little bit smaller.
Right. Same concept, though.
Same concept. Yeah. Yep. Same type retrieve. Same type technique. We're gonna have about 8 different really natural, pretty colors in it, and it's gonna be affordable. $6.49 for a 3-pack. Yeah. And this is a $4 or $5 quality bait a piece. So give it a try when it comes out. Wayne Solomon sent in a question. When fishing the dog days of summer, what do you look for and what do you use? Give us a couple options and scenarios. Something like no grass in the lake. So where do you start? We've talked about this a little bit over the last few weeks. But I'll let Brian touch on it because I know what he likes to do or prefers to do, and that's definitely that works somewhat everywhere we go, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean you're always going to have a shallow bite in the summer. I mean the dog days of summer is prime time to pick up a topwater bait, cover water, either a buzz bait, Demiki Rambler, or something like that, or even fish brim beds. I mean, get you a deep pop or prop bait, something like that, and just it's kind of like looking for bedding bass, except you're looking for bedding brim. Just put the trolling motor on high and go down the bank till you see the little honeycomb up there in 2 or 3 feet of water and fire something up there and catch one. I mean, it's some of the funnest fishing you can do, and that's hands down the first thing I look for when I go to a new lake in the middle of the summer. And then I'll try to obviously mix in some deep stuff too, look for some deep fish, either fishing brush with a worm or look for suspended schooling fish. Schooling fish usually play a big role in the summertime, just because.
Yeah, it seems like every cup we've ever had, they hadn't necessarily won, but they played a role.
Yeah, but the good thing about schooling fish in the summer is they're dependable. Usually they stay in that general area for
that's right.
weeks. So
I'm taking my shoes off, so y'all smell something.
he's back barefooted.
All right.
By the way, Spencer called me the other night and said, "Do you mind if I go in your office?"
He wanted to feel the carpet, didn't he?
I said, "Absolutely not." Shampooed all the carpets for us.
Who did?
Spencer.
He shampooed the carpet?
Well, he had somebody come do it. I think it was last night.
Sweet.
Well, that was nice. Spencer, thank you if you're watching, buddy.
That
It
is awesome.
is a little softer this week.
Feel softer?
Glad to, you ought to take your shoes off. Try
You're
it. Okay. So this isn't really a question, but this is interesting. Last week we got to talking about the spy bait. You guys have been fishing the spy bait, so and Brian's laughing because Brian doesn't. He hadn't read any of these comments. This guy said, I asked 2 weeks ago about spy bait and southern largemouth. Brian actually asked this question, so this guy's going to answer it for you. Y'all talked about it again last week. For what it's worth, he took the Duo Realis, which is probably one of the more popular brands right now. It's being sold. Took a bluegill pattern spy bait to a loaded stock pond, one that he fishes. Fished it, did not get a bite. Picked up traditional baits and got well in a hurry, he said.
Right.
He said, you guys are right. Southern largemouth are just too dang smart
So
for
it's
that
not
thing.
just me.
It's not just you.
Good.
So there you go. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. We got 83 viewers right now. Keep sharing this video. Hopefully we can get up over 100 before we get back from this quick commercial break. And we're going to take your questions live. Stay tuned.
Some brands test their oil deep in Siberia. We focus on places you actually drive, deep in the cul-de-sac. Nothing exotic, just damn good oil.
Hey, man.
So
We're live.
over here reading through questions.
the
All right,
thumbs
guys,
up.
we're back. We're ready to roll.
I'm eating chewy sprees.
Getting back, man. These guys
Caught me off guard with that commercial break. I couldn't find the video.
Man, I was reading our viewers' comments. These guys were putting it on Andy pretty bad after that story that I told. So
Well, that's a funny story.
It is a funny story. It's a very funny story. Let's see what.
Have you ever messed yourself while deer hunting?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to, you get down and you go somewhere in the woods.
Exactly. What would possess a man to sit there
I mean,
and mess himself?
my 4-month-old does that sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, Andy. All right.
And I know for a fact Andy's got a weak stomach too. I bet that was funny. Like I would have liked to have been like 200 or 300 yards away looking at him through some binoculars.
I saw a funny comment on here. Nick Williams said, do you guys use lead tape or something else to weigh your lures down? Yeah, I've used sticky tungsten. I've used suspend strips.
Yeah. The spin strips and the little dots are probably the most popular.
Yeah. That sticky tungsten's pretty good. You ever bought that stuff?
It's like putty.
Yeah, it's like putty. And it stays on surprisingly well. I thought when the lure would get really saturated with water, it might start coming off, but it does pretty good. And you can actually put it like on the crankbaits and the jerk baits and things like that. You could pack it around the eye hook where the split ring goes where the hooks are, and then it stays on that pretty good. Instead of, don't just stick it on the body, it'll come off there. Let's see. Okay, how much do you know about crawfish? Because Tyler Thompson's got a pretty good question about crawfish.
They bite them.
Bass eat them.
Bass eat
I
crawfish.
think Mr. Wilson's about to eat you.
He said
He's staring you down.
Mr. Wilson just ate 30, how many?
32.
32 minutes about an hour or two ago.
Yeah.
And we thought he'd still be eating when the show started. That's a big negative. Joker can hardly swim. He's like sinking down to the bottom and stuff. Tyler said, I read that crawfish have a spawn or molt twice a year. I'm pretty positive when they are in the spring. But what about the fall? What's the water temp usually when that goes on in the fall? Question is for both of y'all.
I have no idea.
Yeah, when it comes to when they molt, because I guess you're asking Tyler because of color changes and things like that.
Yeah.
I've seen different color crawfish the same time of year in different fisheries.
I think I've heard that it's centered around maybe phases of the moon too, maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
We're going to have to go back to biology for Brian and I to figure out how to answer your question. Brian, Jeff, do you know?
It's probably how opaque the crawfish is.
Well, and the density of the shell.
It's probably the density of the shell.
Funny. Let's see. Thomas Coomer should have been at Gunnersville this past weekend. They was chomping, he said. Barrett Keel said we need Andy Morgan as a guest.
He will not be out of the woods till like the third week of January.
Yeah, there's no hope in getting Andy on the show during deer season. I can promise you that.
No.
Carl Chavis was talking about Andy when he said that's rough. Ryan Love said when you're climbing down the ladder and you hear something splatter. T-shirt for Andy.
It sounded like it didn't splatter. I think it all caught. It like.
Yeah, we'll stop it there. Never mind.
Yeah, no.
Jason Hammer said he's got a bunch of extra corn sacks if Andy needs some to use.
I cannot believe.
Hey, Brian, Barrett Keel wants to know if Lake Norman has blueback herring in it.
I have no idea.
I have heard claims.
I've heard claims.
I have seen the alewives in it.
Yeah.
I have never actually physically laid eyes on a blueback heron in Lake Norman.
I haven't either. I've
If
seen
you
some
have-
blue herons walking on the bank, but not
That's
any
mine.
bluebacks.
Huh?
Text Mike and ask him. He'll know.
Text Mike and ask him. Oh, Langerfeld? Yeah, need to check that out.
I'm going to say it probably may have a few. If it doesn't, it will have before long, because I think every lake in this area is going to have heron within the next 8 to 10 years. Just
Even little old Moss has some in it.
Yeah.
I've seen them in Moss Lake.
Yeah.
Moss does have some bluebacks in it. Nick Williams said, how old is that hat, Brian?
This is actually a new
As
hat.
much as he fishes, probably
This is
like
a new
4
hat.
days.
This is
Dude, that hat.
this hat was new like 2 months ago.
That hat
This
looks
is-
brand new for Brian.
Yeah.
Do you still have the Demeke hat you
I
wore for
do.
like
I've
5
still
years?
I still wear it.
It's like the color of my shirt now, and it used to be navy blue.
Yeah, it's a good hat. They fit well.
It's a good look. I tried to steal that hat one time. He left that hat in my truck one time, and I tried to steal that hat.
That hat's long gone. Demeke made me retire that when they said, "Look, you got to get a
You
new
couldn't even
hat."
read the word Demeke on it anymore.
Yes, you could.
All right, Jason Hamrick wants to know what's the best Cinco worm, like Cinco
Like a
style
soft
bait?
stick bait.
Soft stick bait,
Yep.
Jason. I'm assuming what you're asking. I use the Lunker Hunt Lunker Stick a lot. There's a lot. I mean, everybody makes one.
Yeah, that's kind of there's not to say there's one that's better than others, because they're different. I mean, each one's different. Like, my favorite that I use 90% of the time is the Demeke Stinger, but I also still find myself using other soft sticks baits occasionally. And the reason for that is some of them have a lot of salt and a lot of other stuff. I don't know, whatever makes them sink so fast. And the cool thing about the Demeke Stinger is it sinks at about half the rate other soft stick baits do. So a lot of times, and I've actually done this before, is gone behind people with that one and catch fish that other people don't catch, just because it's a little more natural presentation, especially if you're fishing it weightless. So as far as comparing all of them, putting them all lumped together, I don't think you need to do that. I think there's room in a tackle box for a couple different brands for different situations, I think.
Yeah, no, Brian's exactly right. I agree 100%. I use a lot of different ones. The Lunker Stick I use a lot when I'm fishing weightless, and that's bait. And what you can do, you can take the Demeke Stinger, you can take the Lunker Stick, you can take a Cinco, you can take a Yum, whatever. You can take 12 different ones and go to a pool. You're going to see the biggest difference, like Brian said, when you're fishing it weightless.
Right.
It's going to be how fast it falls. It's going to be how quick it starts to shimmy as it's falling, and it's going to be the salt content obviously going to make it fall quicker.
Right.
The shimmying can come from a variety of different
Right,
things.
and different shapes too. I mean, some of them are kind of pretty much a straight worm. Some of them have tapered tails like the Stinger does. And when you wacky rig the baits that have those different shapes, like the Stinger, it'll kind of plane off a few inches. It may go off to the left or off to the right, depend on however it hits the water, really, and then it'll settle up and start
So it causes it to
shimmying.
glide.
Right, it causes
more or
it
less.
to glide.
And,
So
and you can do that with any stick bait by nail weight.
Yeah, by putting a nail weight in it.
And hence the Nico rig too. And
right,
things
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So,
The Nico rig will kind of do the same
yeah,
thing.
and maybe we'll talk about that Nico rig one week. We've had a couple questions about it, but
Let's talk about it now.
yeah, I mean
Why
the Nico rig is a definitely interesting technique that's come along in the past really past couple of years. It's fairly new. I mean, it's been around a while.
I think it's been out on the tour. I've seen it probably as far back as 2012, 13.
So
I mean,
about 5 years.
4 or 5 years anyway.
Yeah. But as far as the general public and the media getting a hold of it and really throwing it out there, it's been the last 2 years probably.
Yeah, that's true.
So that Nico rig. And I fished it on Ledge Lake some.
Yeah.
For real fickle school and big
that's
schools.
That's where I'd
bass.
use it the most too.
I don't see why. I mean, I'm sure you catch. I catch a lot of spotted bass on wacky rig type soft plastics, and I'm sure it'll work on a lot of the lakes like Hartwell and Clark's Hill and things. Especially when they're.
It's a really good technique to give you a different appearance than a drop shot in a clear, pressured fish situation. That's what I mean. It kind of gives you a different profile because it puts the worm on the bottom, but it kind of acts like it's walking along. It's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, and Tackle Warehouse has a bunch of different type Nico weights.
Demiki, I think Demiki was probably the first company to actually have a Nico weight.
Actual Nico weight.
Yes, they have an actual Nico weight. They've got a 1/8 ounce all the way up through 5/16.
Okay. So guys, check those out, and that's a pretty neat deal. Let's see. Crawford Brantley said, "What characteristics do you think separate you guys pros from other tournament fishermen?" Oh. Brian's got a cramp.
Got a cramp. My leg fished too long today.
You need to stand up and run around the table 3 times.
I think I need to eat another chewy spree.
Works every time.
Chewy sprees
Works every time.
Yeah, same thing as a banana. Chewy sprees and sun drop.
Yeah,
sure.
Same thing.
It basically is. That's they came from bananas.
What is it? Potassium? Is there any potassium in here?
Crawford, I think you kind of answered your own questions. He said, what characteristics think separate pros from other tournament fishermen? Patience, quick decision making, sonar, reading, mapping. It's a combination of all those things. Experience goes a long way. Being able to adjust on the fly and change to or adapt to changing conditions. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that they get tunnel vision. They want to go to the tree they caught a 5-pounder on 2 weeks ago and fish that tree, and if they don't get bit, they kind of panic and they get lost. You know? So
I do that a lot too.
But he figures it out and he gets catching a 5-pounder somewhere else. That being said, versatility is one of our biggest assets. Staying up to date with all the different options and being efficient with all those options. As opposed to
I think that's the biggest thing that separates pros from average anglers is they're so well versed in pretty much every technique out there. I mean, the guys can throw a top water down a bank for 2 miles, pull up, get to a dock and skip a jig all the way under it and pull out on a point and drop a drop shot in a brush pile. I mean, just like it's second nature. I mean, they have no problem changing up, and they're pretty much good at every technique. I mean, I'm sure there's guys that have things they'd rather not do. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I'd rather not do some techniques, but if it comes down to getting paid, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I always get asked, what's your favorite technique, and my answer is always whichever one's going to get me paid. That's the one I like right now. So.
All right, so Josh Waldron said, given a chance to fish with one fishing legend, who would it be and where? Both of you answer. Well, I answer first. Mine would be Bryan Thrift.
You fish with me every Thursday.
That doesn't count.
How does that not
count? I want to
count?
get somewhere else.
How does that not count?
Because I know everything you know on that lake. I want to know what you know on other lakes. All right, who's yours, Brian?
Oh, what was the question?
Given a chance to fish with one fishing legend, who would it be and where? Both of you answer.
One fishing legend. I talk to Guy Aker a lot. And I've never been in a boat with Guy Aker. He lives 25 minutes from me. I would want to go with Guy Aker to a 1980s model Santee Cooper.
Oh.
Like if I had a dream trip, I would want me and Guy pull a boat mid-1980s to Santee and throw a spinnerbait around cypress trees.
Hey,
that's what I want.
You know who else would be a good one for that exact deal? He's Charlie Foster.
Yes, Charlie Foster.
He would be. That's Charlie Foster, who owns the Bass Shack here in Shelby. They call him the Blade Man. used to call him the Blade Man, but that's what he used to go down to Santee and Murray and run those rivers in an aluminum boat and kick everybody's butt with a spinnerbait.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, Guy would be a good one.
Yeah, especially with a spinnerbait. Like, I think you could beat Jimmy with a spinnerbait. I don't know for sure.
Ooh.
That's strong words.
Jimmy's probably not watching.
That's strong words.
That is strong words. Challenging Jimmy Houston to a spinnerbait battle.
We just hit 100 viewers, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Logan Crane, if you guys could only fish one lake for the rest of your life. Oh, sorry, I skipped one here. Logan, we'll get right back to you. Thomas Eskew said, I've been doing a lot of flipping all year. I've fallen in love with it. Can you help me how to identify if a bass hits it on the fall other than the line swimming off? So
That's the best way a lot of times.
Absolutely. And first of all, Thomas, when you flip a bait in whatever, a lay down or a bush or grass mat, and you go to pick up on it, don't get super aggressive and be in a hurry. Pick up on it slow.
Yeah, it'll kind of feel mushy, or
Yep.
a lot of times they'll bite it and just sit there.
Yep, that's right. And he said other than the line swimming off, which is the obvious cue to go ahead and set the hook. But a lot of times there's just a feeling that it's mushy feeling.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
there's no other word to say other than mushy. You pick up and there's just slight pressure on it. And if you keep putting pressure on him, you'll eventually feel some kind of movement. But hey,
He either spit it out or he'll kind of pull it down.
yep, and it doesn't cost anything to jerk. Hey,
Right.
we've set the hook on trees before.
A
It
lot
doesn't
of
bother
times.
us.
A lot of times.
But that one time it's a 5 or 6 pounder, I promise you.
Yeah,
you won't regret
It's
it.
better to set the hook and say, "Nah, that wasn't a fish," than it is to say, "Dang, I just shook one off."
That's right. And see, in our break off rule that we have at Moss Lake, when Brian and I fish together, if I set the hook and break off, I immediately tell Brian, that wasn't a fish. Wasn't a fish. I don't want him to charge me $10.
Yeah, but it was.
Yeah, most time I can tell the difference between a fish and a bush now.
was a fish.
He doesn't know that.
Oh, I
All right, Logan Taylor. Oh, sorry, Logan Crane. Getting back to you. If you guys could only fish one lake for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Moss.
No, it would not be Moss Lake.
No.
Jeff said Moss. It would not. I do love Moss Lake.
I like it. I don't love it.
I love it.
I don't love it.
I love the challenge of it. It's the most humbling lake in the country, or close anyway. Okeechobee might be the most humbling lake in the country.
Yeah.
You can have the best practices there. Mine would probably be. I love those Ozark lakes, the White River lakes. I like Beaver, Table Rock, Bull Shoals. That whole system would probably be my favorite. I hate to narrow it down to one lake. Obviously, Beaver is special to both of us. But
yeah.
we both
Beaver's
had
fun.
tour wins there, so.
It depends on what you're after. I mean, there's kind of two trains of thought. You
Yeah.
could go with a lake like the Ozark chain of lakes. I mean, you get a lot of bites there, generally speaking. Or you could pick a lake that you don't get a lot of bites, but you're going to catch giants on. So I'm kind of torn. I'm still thinking on my answer.
All right.
I'm going to go with Clear Lake because you catch a lot of fish and a lot of big ones.
And you still have a chance to catch double-digit fish there, too.
Yes,
So.
a lot of big ones.
Tucker Corey said, Logan Taylor said y'all should have Scott Martin on as a guest. We'll work on that, Logan. We'll try to get him by here sometime next year when we're out and about on tour. Tucker Corey, so you cramping again over there?
Yeah, bad.
God, man, I feel like I'm having a show with like
You need some
95-year-old
mustard?
man.
Mustard.
Nah, I'm good.
You want to chug some mustard real quick?
No, I do not want to
It
show
helps.
much.
I go to
helps.
Shelby Cafe and get you some mustard.
Oh, no, I definitely don't want to
It's
show
all
my
over
cafe much.
That'll save your life if you're running a Spartan race.
What?
What, mustard?
Let me back up.
What's a Spartan race?
Exactly. So, a buddy of mine in Columbia, last year, I guess, said, "Hey, we're up in New England for a Patriots game. We'll try to catch a game a year or something." So we're up in New England.
Do you like that Carolina Panthers Patriots game the other week?
We got to give you something.
But it was in New England. That's the great. Brian's looking at us
Yeah,
like
I
we're
know.
stupid. He don't even know they played.
I do not.
He's fishing somewhere.
I
That
would.
We're not.
Most
All right, back to your story. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not hitting on all
Spartan
cylinders.
race.
We'll be all right. So he's like, "I think I'm gonna do a Spartan race." We were up there. We had a few adult beverages, just hanging out. I said, "Tell you what, if you do a Spartan race, we're right there with you." Darn if he didn't sign up for 3 of them.
What's a Spartan race?
Exactly. I didn't know either. He's
What is it?
We're going to do the trifecta. So it's where you run up mountains and like 30 obstacles, and you do a bunch of stuff you don't want to do ever.
Something Jeff was not prepared to do.
We built a course behind my house.
Train for it.
Yeah, we trained.
Like American Ninja Warrior style. Similar.
Well,
Does Jeff Walsh look like an American Ninja Warrior?
I'll put it to you this way. We had a 14-mile race. I think it was up Black Mountain.
14 miles?
Up Black Mountain.
All right, I'm not doing that.
So the reason I know
I was
mustard,
out at 14 miles. So
Yeah,
that's not.
that's how I know. That's how I figured out mustard. I liked it a lot better because at about mile 2.5,
You're cramping.
both legs full.
You just ate mustard?
And I'm 2.5 miles up a mountain. I still got like 7 miles to go before I can start going down.
Dog.
And I didn't know anything about it. So, but everybody's giving me mustard packs.
Really?
Knock it out, Jack.
All right, so we don't just
Mustard.
talk fishing tips. We teach you how to get rid of cramps too. Eat
Find
mustard.
yourself going 14 miles up a mountain and
Not
make
fun.
some mustard.
If you get a cramp, eat
It
some
works.
mustard.
I'm just eat it anyway, so you
Just
don't.
saying.
All right, back to questions.
You want me to go get you some?
Is there maintenance? Like if you start out eating mustard, will you not get cramps?
No, you got to eat a lot too. It doesn't last long.
Well, you were
so
eating those
you-
little
so
bitty
you know
packs
the-
that have like a half ounce in them.
Oh, the second Spartan race,
need
I
to-
took a bottle.
You need to carry a bottle in your fanny pack or whatever you
I
spray.
was
You
like-
got one of them hats with two like high.
You paid big money for that.
Like the beer hats the guys wear at the
Yeah,
NFL
yeah.
games. Yeah, you got them with 2 mustard bottles.
Yeah.
It's bad.
All right, Tucker Corey said, would you rather fish, here you go, Brian, would you rather fish with Jimmy Houston as a co-angler or Andy Morgan as your co-angler? I don't want either one of them as my co-angler.
I don't either.
I mean,
But I would probably take Andy Morgan and I'd swap seats with him.
yeah,
That's probably what I'd do.
but then you're guaranteed to zero probably.
Yeah, but I'd learn something.
There you go. There you go. It'd be tough to do Jimmy because he keeps you laughing all day long. I don't think I can concentrate. Eric Keller,
Would you try to comb his hair?
no, you don't touch Jimmy Houston's hair. That's a no-no. Let's see. Living in Florida on the St. Johns River. This one's from Eric Keller. Fall transition's getting tough. Water's really high from the hurricane. Is it time to start searching in pockets and backs of coves or stick to bars and drops? Eric, that's tough, man. Brian and I, we both aren't real. I mean, we like Florida, but we're not.
Yeah.
I haven't had a very productive track record down there.
I
so
haven't either.
During the fall transition, when you have that high water,
I don't
that-
think I've ever been there in the fall either.
Yeah, I haven't either. So, but when you have that high water, that can throw things off anyway.
I know Florida fish when they're not spawning, they like current. If there's any current available, I would look for something like that. Maybe some moving water.
Well, when you got that high water, there's going to be some moving water somewhere,
Yeah.
obviously. So that main channel ought to still have them. I don't know with the high water if it's getting really dirty on you guys, and I know Florida fish like clean water, so
Yeah.
you might have to get off the river channel to find that cleaner water. But yeah, I would stay in the current. I'd find the current somewhere. Those fish are going to be taking advantage of that current and eating it.
Yeah.
Teddy Holt. What's up, Teddy? Thanks for joining, buddy. A friend of mine lives out there in Arkansas on Beaver, talking about Beaver Lake. The largemouth are cruising the banks and the backs of the creeks. Shad haven't moved back there yet. How in the world would you catch them? They don't seem to want to eat. Wow, if they're back there and the shad aren't back there and they're not wanting to eat, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't
Like my go-to would be topwater, but
yeah,
I don't know.
and then after that it'd be finesse presentations if if they're not aggressive.
which I did see that one time in the summer. I got that same exact scenario. I was I don't even remember what lake I was on, but I was catching sight fish in the late summer, seeing them cruising down the bank and throwing topwater, and they would come up and roll under it or blast it and not get it. But I finally got to where I missed one on topwater, and I followed him down the bank and actually pitched a shaky head just 5 or 6 feet out in front of him, and he kept swimming down the bank. And when he got in front of it, I shook it one time and he ate it, and I was able to catch pretty much every one I seen after that on a shaky head. So maybe try something like that. I mean,
Yeah, Brian took the words right out of my mouth. My next comment was going to be, I caught, and I saw that at Lake Lanier, at the cup at Lake Lanier.
Yeah.
I saw cruising fish, brim-bed fish that had a lot of pressure with topwaters just demolish a shaky head. I mean, a little finesse worm on an 1/8 ounce head or a 16th ounce head
Yeah.
thrown up there, and I don't know what it was, but they would eat that little shaky head worm up quick. So try a little like shaky head and a drop shot. Drop shot can catch cruising fish a lot of times. Sometimes.
yeah, there was a guy made I think the first year we went to Lanier, a guy made the top 5 fishing a drop shot fairly shallow that
Okay.
year.
Okay. So there you go. Wesley Bray said, how long would you guess the schooling activity will continue on Lake Murray? Think they'll be schooling still in mid-November? That's a tricky question, Wesley, based on they're going to be schooling in November somewhere.
Yeah, I think the type of weather we've had this year, I don't see it cooling off anytime soon, especially down in Columbia. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a while.
I don't know if it's going to be as much of the main lake cane pile stuff in November, but you're going to have some schooling fish somewhere. Yeah. You might have to migrate to some of the creeks, maybe halfway back to
if the bass aren't schooling by then, striper maybe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So let's see. Brad Atkins is tuned in. He said, I'm coaching the Morehead State University bass team. What advice would you have that I could pass along to them from you guys about developing their fishing career? Do's and don'ts. We can tell you both because we've done don'ts and do's. From a marketing perspective, I think those guys really, if they truly want to pursue a career in professional fishing, they really need to step up their education and center it more around marketing and business management type classes.
Yeah.
Because that is 50% of what we do. If not more for some guys, a little less for some guys. So I always say half and half just to kind of.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, that's what it is. I mean, some guys it's a little more marketing, a little less fishing, but.
That's right.
And then you've got some guys that it's all fishing, and then some guys it's all marketing. So
yeah, that's right.
You just I think you gotta feel out what fits you best. I mean, it's a kind of a balance. Figure out where the balance is for you individually is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and you have a lot of guys that come out of college that don't necessarily want to fish on the tour professionally, but they want to work in the industry. And I've seen quite a few college kids come out.
Yeah.
I think Shea Baker, who works for Bass. There's another boy. I can't remember what his name is. He's a commentator with Bass.
Yeah, Geddes Brandon.
Yeah, Geddes Brandon does some work. There's several guys. There's guys on our side on FLW. You got let's see. Well, Kyle Wood. There's a lot of guys that came out of college and went straight to work for FLW. Austin Felix is a college angler who fishes the tour now.
Yep.
And anyway, there's a lot of opportunities in the industry. You don't have to necessarily be a touring pro to have a career.
Justin Atkins, he won the cup.
There you go. Justin Atkins, who just won the Forest Wood Cup, is an ex-college angler. But definitely take advantage of the educational opportunities you have. Jeff's pointing at me to say we need to go to a quick commercial break, guys. We'll be right back. Questions live. Stay tuned. I got 3 thumbs up. All right, guys, we're back. Thanks again for tuning in. Dang, we lost about 25 viewers during that commercial break. Y'all don't like Haybo? They don't like Haybo Outdoors, Haybo Clothing?
I'll be back.
They just dropped like flies, didn't they? All right, let's see. Marty Main said, Brian, my local fishery is heavily fished. What advice would you give to increase my chances when I go out?
Oh, man. That's kind of like Moss is. The biggest thing is I move around a lot on a lake that gets a lot of pressure because those fish see a lot of presentation. So the more fish you can show a presentation to, I feel like the better your odds are of catching one of them. So just that way you try to find fish that are actively feeding. I mean, downsize your baits, downsize your line, and just fish specific places. Like I don't like to go down the bank on a lake like that. I'd rather fish like one certain dock or one brush pile or one point or something like that where I can pull up and I know if there's a fish there, that's where he's going to be and he's going to be there to feed. That's probably the way I would approach it. What about you, Matt? What are you doing over there? Why ain't you answering questions?
This is this is the third phone call I've had.
He's getting phone calls.
Yeah, that was Barry Wilson calling me right there. Barry, you should be watching our show, not calling me right now. Let's see. Okay, can you answer a redfish question, Jeff?
Hey, it's not a redfish question.
There's a redfish question. We have our first redfish question.
What's the question?
Our first redfish question.
What's the question?
The question is...
I'll do my best.
Chuck Bryson.
Chuck, all right. Hey, Chuck.
Said, best location to catch redfish at Little River Inlet and the best bait to use in the fall for those redfish.
Well, best location...
First of all, Brian and I have no idea. Take it, Jeff.
So, best location, we'll go fishing. I can't drop any points right now. But it's a pretty good fisher. We just had a tour event maybe in May up there, Little River. Had a good many fish weighed in. It's a lot better fishing now in the fall than it is obviously back in May. Baits, I'm assuming you're talking live bait. I don't know if you're talking artificial or live. Artificial.
I mean, are you like out in the ocean or?
No, you're in the river system, like ICW.
Oh, so it's a river.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. It's a
What's
river.
that?
That's the trouble. It's a river.
No, it's plenty of fish.
River hates river.
That's a good fish.
Rivers suck. I mean, that's the trouble.
So, I mean, if you're artificial, I guess you're talking. I don't know what you're talking. Berkeley Gulp is always a go-to. Sugar and spice, you can't go wrong.
Sugar and spice.
And everything nice, just like the nursery.
Is that a bait?
It's like, yes.
By what, Berkeley?
Yeah, Gulp.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's the color.
Yeah, like a 4-inch sugar and spice shrimp.
Gotcha.
Is always good if you're
Pretty cool
fishing
color.
artificial.
That is a cool name.
You got some trout-eye jig heads with some trout tricks and stuff like that. I'm assuming you're probably talking live bait though. So
The popping cork. I've heard of
blue
the popping
crab,
cork.
split blue crab is they can't stand it.
Really?
They're gonna crush it.
A live blue crab?
Well, it's not live when you put it on there, but you quarter it. You cut it in half.
Just chunks of it.
Yeah, just chunks.
Man, they're too good to eat to be using them for bait.
Oh, they are good. They love them. Shrimp. You can just go straight on the circle head jig head and throw it out, a circle hook, or you can use a popping cork. If you're using a popping cork, make sure you got that bait in the strike zone with your leader. Know what depth
Not
you're
draining
fishing.
on the bottom and things like that.
Know what depth you're fishing and things like that, but it's not a hard thing to figure out.
It's
But
kind of like bass fishing, isn't it?
it's no different. It's just a little bit different
you're in a
looking
river.
fish. Yeah.
Jeff took this question. I think Jeff's happy he got a question.
I think so.
He
too.
took this question and he ran with it. So
I
Yeah,
thought
he-
you were kidding.
no, I wouldn't joke around. I'm not
I
something
thought
like
you were
that.
kidding. But we can go find you some spots, Chuck. I need to go fishing. I haven't been fishing in a while.
Maybe
I made some good friends
That's
up in
it,
Little
Bob.
River when we were there. It's a nice place.
Maybe you and Chuck can hook up and go catch some reds.
We can do it. So I'll give you a shout tomorrow, Chuck, and we'll talk more about it. But appreciate the question. I literally thought you were kidding.
I'm gonna do something. Yeah, we'll be finishing up here about 8 o'clock tonight, guys. I'm gonna skip around on some questions. If I miss your question, I apologize. I promise. We try to get to everybody's question every week. Sometimes we get pressed for time. We try to run these shows around an hour. We've carried a few.
Yeah, a few till 8:30.
Still like 8:30, 8:45.
I got what I want to.
All right, Brian got a question.
J.R. Mitchell. Brian, can you tell us more about the backdrop spoon, like when and where you're throwing it and your rod setup? That is a question. I've been posting a lot of pictures the last couple of weeks on Facebook and Instagram with fish I've caught on the Demiki backdrop spoon out at Moss Lake. And
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite baits in the fall because shad are so small. And I catch a lot of fish schooling on this bait. Like you can see them busting and you can throw this thing a mile. And I kind of hold my rod up and wind it about medium pace, you'd call it, Adam Sandler style maybe. I don't know, anybody remember that?
Movie junkie.
But I keep it, 6 or 8 inches under the surface and just keep a steady wind, and it's got a nice little shimmy back and forth. But I think the thing that makes this spoon so versatile is you can do that, and you can also drop down and fish vertically. But my setup, I throw it on a 7-foot. It's used to be the crankbait topwater rod from Fitzgerald Rods, and now it is actually my 7-foot square bill rod. So we've just kind of changed the name and made a few tweaks to it, but I throw it on a 7-foot Bryan Thrift Signature Series square bill, and I throw it on 12-pound P-line fluorocarbon. And the reason for that light of line on a 3/4 ounce spoon is literally if I see a fish bust, I can cast to it. I believe I could throw this spoon 200 yards. I'll throw it on a Revo STX 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, and you can absolutely, I mean, you cast it and it's like 8 seconds before it hits the water if they're schooling that far away. And that's what makes that spoon so amazing. Plus, it's got 2 little hooks that are tied to it. I know a lot of people are using the double hooks with the stinger rope, and they got a little tinsel tied to them, and they really key in on that tinsel, and you get good hookups. It's a fun bait. I was actually out there today catching some on it at Moss.
And you catch doubles on the spoon with a stinger on it. So
I catch a lot of doubles.
I remember actually at Lake Wheeler at the Cup, you remember Jeremy Lawler, who made the top 10 down there, was catching schooling fish, and they were relatively shallow.
Yes.
Because I was in that same joker actually fishing that same.
I tried to get on that point, but he was on it every time.
And that joker was catching them in probably less than 6 or 7 foot of water, jerking a spoon through them. A lot of people don't think about that for schooling fish, especially when they're shallow and flats.
Yeah.
But it goes back to keeping an open mind, being willing to try everything.
Right.
You know, sometimes you got to really get outside the box to catch them. Bradley Dortch, Bradley, thanks for getting on, buddy. And congrats on your big win last year. He said, what 2018 tour event? Brad, if anybody doesn't know, Bradley won our
Harris chain.
Was it the first? That was our second tournament. Was that our second tournament? He won the FLW.
No, that was our third one.
Third tournament. That's right.
That Harris chain.
Lord, time flies. That was Bradley won the FLW tour event on the Harris chain last year. So congrats again.
Mark won first 2 events, right? And you finished second.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How could I forget that?
Yes.
Brad said, "What 2018 tour event are you guys looking forward to the most?" I'll go first. Lake Lanier for me, and the reason being, I've been to Lanier several times. I know it's got them. It's got giant spots. It's got giant largemouth, and I think we're going to be there at the absolute best possible time we could be there this year, or in 2018. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So it's going to show what it's got. I think, hopefully.
I don't know which one I'm looking most forward to. Like, I'm kind of excited about all of them, I think.
What about you, Brad? Let us know which one.
If I had to pick
one.
Well,
we're going back to Harris chain, so he may say Harris chain.
Yeah, I'm trying to are we going anywhere I hadn't never been next year?
We got Cumberland. We're going back to Cumberland. There. We got Smith Lake.
Been there.
We got Lanier.
All right, I'm looking most forward to St. Clair. I've fished out of Detroit, but I've always went to Erie. I've never made a cast in Lake St. Clair, so I'm looking forward to that one.
And that lake, I've been to St. Clair. It's been several years.
Wait, I have made a cast in St. Clair.
Yeah,
one day. I spent one day there.
Yeah, you were there
this year.
You fished Erie when we were there for that one, but that was our first year, I think.
Yeah, 07.
And St. Clair, you couldn't catch them in St. Clair and be competitive on the guys that were on Erie.
Right.
That has flip flopped. They are crushing them on St. Clair. There's 20 plus
I
pound
think
bags
so.
coming out.
The elite guys crushed them.
25-pound bags coming out of St. Clair. So that's going to be a fun tournament. So looking forward to that one too. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to skip down the bottom, guys. Forgive us if we skipped you there again. Let's see. Somebody asked about an FLW Tour co-angler question. Let's get it. Peyton Curio, I hope I said your last name right, Peyton. What is required to be a co-angler in an FLW event? What does it cost? What are the odds of getting drawn? Peyton, I can about guarantee you a spot if you go into FLWfishing.com, get signed up.
Matt's guaranteeing spots.
And
I heard that too.
It's because there's most of them don't fish all the events now.
Yeah.
So I think the cost is roughly, don't quote me on this, is roughly around $700. But go to FLWfishing.com, follow the tournaments on there, go down to the.
Call them.
Yeah, or call them. Yeah, it's Mike got that number. I think it's 252-270-1000.
I've got that backwards. It's 270-252. Wait, no.
That's right. Because Kentucky's a 270.
Yes.
So it's 270-252-1000 is FLW. We've called that number hundreds, maybe 1,000 times in our career. So that's the number to FLW. Call them and they can answer every question you got. But I'm sure there'll be some spots open on tour next year. All right, guys, let's take one more question.
We gotta go. It's bedtime.
And we got to hit the hay. Bradley said we're going to the Harris chain too early. It's going to be sight fishing derby. Well, that's good. You're a good sight fisherman, so
that is true.
You might could get number 2.
You don't have to look at them to catch them there either.
Let's see. Blake Parrish wants to know. All right, last question, guys. Let's see. Both of you have won major tournaments on jigs. What are your favorite combos for close quarters target fishing a jig? So he's not asking about the jig. We'll talk about the setups. My setup is close quarters, I'm typically, from a line standpoint, I'm using 17 to 20 pound P-line tactical 100% fluorocarbon. On the reel, I'm using Okuma Helios. I use a high speed. I use an 8-to-1 gear ratio reel, and that's caused tight quarters. A lot of times you pitch a jig in there, get on the fall, or they hit it, they come at you real fast. That's to pick up that line really quick and make sure that it doesn't go slack on you. I use an 8-to-1 Okuma Helios. The rod is a 7.6 Helios. I'm a taller guy. I'm 6'2", so I use a longer rod than a lot of guys. But when you're pitching close quarters like that, I use a 7.6 heavy action Okuma Helios rod. That's my go-to jig setup. Brian's probably has something to do with his signature rod, but we'll let him talk about that.
Actually, I've got to where I don't really close quarter jig fish anymore. I use something that looks like a jig. Like I lean more toward a punch skirt and a Demiki knockout on a Texas rig. And you've got the same profile as a jig, but it gets hung way less. You don't have to worry about the little limbs in a bush going between the weed guard and the hook and stuff like that. So that's why I prefer that setup. I just Texas rig that Demiki knockout with a punch skirt and a 1/2 ounce to a 3/4 ounce weight. And the two rods I use mostly for that, if I'm using a 1/2 ounce weight, I'll use a 7-foot medium heavy Fitzgerald stunner rod. And if I'm fishing a 3/4, I'll go up to the 7.6 high driller rod from Fitzgerald. And that's actually more of a punching rod, but it works great flipping that, the little punch skirt jig looking deal with the knockouts.
Little punch skirt jig looking deal. Crawford Brantley, Crawford, that's funny. He said, "You guys at least now know what to get Andy Montgomery for Christmas." He said,
J.R. Mitchell just said, "Gotta."
He said,
"Good show, guys. Gotta go. About to mess my pants."
And J.R. Mitchell said, "He's gotta go. Great show.
I think we'll do that. We'll have to invite Andy back for a show like the week before Christmas.
We need to get his side.
We'll give him his present, and he can open it on the show.
We will. We might. Maybe we'll get lucky and he won't watch this episode or something, and we'll do that. We'll wrap up some pins.
He's gonna watch it because I'm gonna tag him in it.
He may already be wearing them.
Jeff said he's gonna tag him in it. Guys, if we didn't get to your question, sorry. Next week. Actually, we're not going to have a show next week. Brian's going to be out of town at a show working for sponsors. We will be back the week after. We'll let you know when we're back. But special guest the week after is going to be James Worldwide Watson. So, Worldwide. James Watson will be in the house. Guys, we just had a malfunction. So it's Jeff's phone fell. So it's even a better time to quit. Our soundboard might be crushed. Awesome. If y'all can't hear us, that's why. But guys, when we can't fish, we're going to talk fish on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining. See you soon.
See you guys.
See y'all.